Howdy, everyone. Happy Wednesday? Yep, it's hump day. And we're in the range. Been after it. Had an amazing several weeks of coaching, all that good stuff. Now, we've been doing several different things here over the last few days. Wanted you guys to jump in and enjoy a little shooting time, as well as we're gonna probably go into a live podcast with a lot of questions. I actually posted earlier today on the Knock on TV Instagram page that we're gonna be doing a podcast with these two superstars right here. And with that, we're gonna go grab those. With that, we're gonna get into some pretty cool questions. And what's cool about this is after looking at some of those questions, we got some great questions. This is Lucy O'Sullivan right here. She might be shy for a minute. This is Bailey right here. See, Bailey's not as shy. But, yep. And you get tired every time. Like the clock. We've been working on several things today. We've actually built 2 bows now. Two bows for Luce. She's working on getting ready for the Arizona Cup. We went through a whole bunch of tuning and building for X10s. We've got Pro Tours. We've got 2 different recipes we've worked on. Is old Red Knox gonna be I think that's the winner?
I think that's the winner.
All right, we got Red Knox. We can talk about that later. Bailey is getting ready to dominate the ASA this coming weekend. She's rolling with super drives, and it's pretty cool. I've got both of them. It's extremely windy out. We shot today in the wind a little bit just for exercises regarding learning drift, bubbling in the wind, what your bubble does, etc. And Lucy is from England, so she is a lot more understanding of wind, rain, fog, snails,
Cold.
Hedgehogs, better chocolate,
Oh yeah.
Jersey cows, all that kind of stuff. She's from Jersey, so that's pretty cool.
The original Jersey.
Yeah. Bailey is from Joplin, Missouri, so shout out to all the people in Joplin. And baby Bailey, also known as Bay, as you call him, that's her boyfriend. He's not able to be here, so we're gonna jump into this feed. I'm gonna show you a little bit of their shooting. Hopefully I'm not gonna put too much pressure on you guys. I wanna show a few different things that we worked on, talk through several of those things. I'm sure it's gonna be stuff that you at home can put to use, and James is gonna monitor questions. If there's relative questions as we're going through, I'm going to jump on your questions, and then how many more rounds you got on that?
I think 5.
Okay, so after a few ends here, we are going to sit down and jump into a bunch of really good questions that we saw from the Instagram page. So let's get after it, gals. I was almost nervous to shoot today because these two are so fierce. Lucy, can you maybe back up a little bit? Bring Bailey into the elbow crasher zone. James, can you come over to this side? We've got the infamous James Jeanette, aka Super J, behind the camera. And we're gonna talk first here with Bailey. Bailey's an awesome archer. She's been, how long have you been shooting?
4 years.
4 years. She's actually a college student working for 2 different archery shops and utilizes her travel time to listen to Knock On podcasts.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And this is gonna look cool. What's awesome is Lucy was a long time evolution shooter. She's been a student of mine for over a decade. And Bailey is shooting the Knock to It as well as Silverback. And both of these guys are set up very, very solid structurally, and what I've spent a lot of time today doing is actually watching for breakdowns, because a big part of accelerating your archery and extending your ability to succeed is being able to identify when things break down. The breakdowns are the most important part, and identifying what the most common mistakes are. With Bailey, she's got a great foundation, super good foundation. When she has broke down, or when I found that she breaks down, it's exactly the same as me. Same types of things happen. The longer we're in the shot, or if we start to get a little bit, I guess, we start to think about something a little too much, or I'm gonna set this right here. Do you have an extra arrow, Bailey? You don't. Okay.
No.
What happens is, can you set your bow down? We'll maybe talk about this. Once you started to aim a little bit too long, you want to show kind of what I pointed out earlier. So normally when she was in her regular posture here, she would start to hitch. So this front hip would slowly start to come forward. This rear elbow slowly starts to come down. So, she feels like she's pulling solid through, but you're actually not. And for me, a common mistake is when I feel like I'm pulling, but I'm actually breaking down, I end up shooting out the top. A lot of times if you're creeping on your bow, you shoot high left. Bailey's shooting a chill. So shout out to all your Matthews followers, your solo friends. They don't have the solo cams anymore. They're kind of, now they've got the biggest cams in the world, but she's shooting it awesome. So I'm happy. She was a Hoyt shooter. Boyfriend's an elite shooter. She's a Matthews shooter. We're all good. I like it. Lucy is shooting a Prevail 37 over there. We've actually got 2 different models that I built. I'll go through those 2 with you guys in a little while. Bailey shoots most of the time with the knock to it. You can see foundation-wise, she's done a great job with her homework of really focusing on her alignment, her fit, her posture. Can you just stay at full draw on this one? Don't shoot this one, sorry. You can see, foundation-wise, great foundation here, front shoulders low. We've actually worked on her hand position some. We'll talk about that next. But really here, James, if you can come in clearance-wise, beautiful clearance here. Great hand position. Great. You can let that down. Sorry. Now it's like, can you still shoot 310s after me making you do like a pause rep? So, yeah, go ahead and take a rest. Rest that front shoulder. She does a great job, and this is really important. Lucy does too. I haven't actually brought this up to her, but this is something. You gonna grab yours, Lucy? Yeah. Lucy is officially not allowed to shoot at the same spot. We've been building arrows every 15 minutes because with her arrows, we've actually been using a slower cure glue. Leave that in, because she's shooting a 300 round. So she's using, we were using a slow cure glue on hers just so that, from impact, so much impact, when she shoots at the GB squad, Lucy shoots a lot at the British national team squads. She's shot on the team for how long? Jeez.
Since I was 12.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I'm now 26.
When did we meet? You were 14?
15 or 16.
Okay, 15, 16. So
that was 10 years ago.
10 years ago, a decade. It's kind of scary. But no, everything, we'll talk about Lucy's in a minute. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on Bailey here. She does a great job coming into the anchor. This position here is really good. Hand position, thumb position on the release is pretty much a miniature Dudley. That's what I said. It's like a little mini dud. like her release, and see, she pimped out her knock to it with this brass version. Who made that?
Exoki Custom Knobs.
Exoki?
He's a friend, yeah.
He's a friend?
Yeah.
Give him a shout out. He's getting ready to become famous.
Bernie Broyles.
What,
Yeah.
Where's he at? Give him his...
Neosho, Missouri. Gosh, I don't know his,
All right.
I don't know his phone
We'll
number.
post it. We're
Yeah.
going to post a little picture of that knob. And if you want one, cool little brass knob, awesome. But you can see, like, here's mine out of my pocket. And you can see when it comes to actual positioning, thumb, yeah, that's right, perfect. So your thumb position is exactly where I would say it should be. And yeah, she does a great job keeping her hand in a rack position, and then taking her thumb from here, coming straight to the back of this release, allowing the fingerprints of her thumb to embed in that knob, and then as she pulls, it'll fire. She's shooting it fairly light to where she can bring her finger there, really focus on maintaining tension more so than powering through tension, powering through with a lot of tension, which really helps her stability and her ability. A few of the little things that I've pointed out today with her was thumb positioning. So Bailey was actually on her front thumb. You can see it here, it starts to show. So with her grip position, when she starts to apply a little bit too much pressure on her thumb, let's go ahead and point it at the camera. So if you were gripping the bow like this, when she applies a little bit too much thumb pressure this way, what happens is her bow starts to cant a little bit, and it starts to, when she misses, she was putting them out to the left, even with good shots. It's such a small thing to notice, but it's these minor little things. This is what, well, I think if you're good at what you do, this is what makes a difference of being able to have someone that's a 298 shooter, make them a 300 shooter, because you're able to identify those small little mistakes. Thumb positioning for Bailey. We went through the whole equipment setup. I'm kind of bypassing. There was a lot of stuff that we went through this morning. We actually did a very, very detailed class on arrows, correct? Would you say?
Yeah, it was pretty detailed.
And they were great, took a lot of notes. And we kind of put some of those exact things to use with both of these guys today. And I'm super happy with where their arrows are landing. But everything here, again, great positioning here, thumb comes to the back. And from there, she's able to just maintain her shot, come through super smooth like that. Can you get your silverback out? You
Yeah.
can set your bow down, you don't have to shoot.
Take it out.
Okay, there's Bailey's silverback. So why don't you talk about what your practice routine is, silverback versus knock to it. This is a very, very common question. Let's go pull those X's, and then down here, I'll let you talk about that.
Okay.
But, very, very common question we get is, do I shoot with the silverback all the time? I'd like to knock to it. What do I really want to do? Keep those in there too, Bailey, so I can talk about that as well.
Okay.
But with your silverback, what is your routine? How do you utilize it?
So whenever I start practice, I always like to start out with my silverback. And pretty much what that does, it just makes sure my shot is smooth. I'm not collapsing, because with this, if you collapse at all,
Yeah.
it doesn't go off very well.
It's a form check, and then you actually, I think you're probably, at least for me, you're driving through your shots.
Strong shot.
Yeah, you're almost forcing yourself into stronger shots to where then when you shoot something that's easier to shoot, it's almost like really easy.
Like the other day I shot a full Vegas round with this, and it wasn't bad. Like, the shots were going off pretty decent, and then I went to my knock to it and shot a Vegas round, and it was like cake. It felt really easy. So
Yeah, and that's that ideally that's what you want. Lucy, come in here. So Lucy is you've seen Lucy shoot. Probably all the crap on that face is probably mine, but you've been like hitting the X more than anybody. So Lucy right now, she's shooting a true ball. She's actually shooting this hinge right here. And we worked on your speed with that a little bit more, kind of positioning and how she pulls through. But get out Old Faithful. So
I was going to say, I tried this the other day, yesterday.
Yep.
So went back to my 10-year-old release age.
So
It's got some
this right here
Be
is,
careful with her.
this is an original. So 10 years, I had Lucy as a student shooting this every single arrow.
I've won like national series with that. I've gone to World Cups with that. Like, that's been everywhere.
Everywhere.
So-
Yep. So I mean, and she needs a mini. So this is kind of a small one, but she literally
It's huge. I
started
don't know
with
what I was talking about.
yeah.
It's huge.
She started with the hinge, and then we actually worked with the hinge, and then went into an Evo. Worked her through pulling through an Evo. When I first met Lucy, she was a little bit crunched in, head forward. Worked on posture, got her pulling through. A very, very common thing, first thing that is tired, is sore front shoulder. Like with you, it's just like, how do I keep this front shoulder down? When you're trying to pull through the correct way, you start to get fatigued there. And that's just something, that's why it's so important to implement these things and stick with it. If you try to go to a tension release or a back tension release and you're giving up on that in a few days, there's just no way that you've really had time to apply that the correct way.
Takes at least 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. To really master release aids, I think 2 years is probably a good number. And I don't want to scare you by that. I had to shoot a hinge for almost 6 years before I could ever shoot a wrist strap again. I had target panic. I had struggled with shooting a wrist strap release. I could never get my index finger on a release without wanting to hit it. I shot a hinge. I cured my target panic. Then I wanted to go back to a button release, a thumb button release. And I could shoot it fine in a tournament for a few shots, but then I would feel that desire to want to make it go off. And over the course of those 6 years, I had to just keep going back to a surprise release. And then eventually, when I just 100% said, for 2 years, it doesn't matter, this is what I'm shooting because I shoot it best, then all of a sudden, it like snapped. It became a thing of, target panic became like a total thing in the past. And then I was able to just grab her release, James, it doesn't matter what release I pull back with, I can go through those shots. So one thing I want to talk about here is with Bailey, when Bailey misses, Bailey, like I said, you can notice when she misses, it'll be left. And obviously the further, if we were shooting 50 meters earlier today, this magnifies. So then it's more on the edge of the gold. So again, that comes from thumb positioning, at least for her, front hand thumb positioning. This, there can be a lot of things that affect that. But also, if she gets tired in a shot, starts to make a weak shot, which this is something that I do commonly, is if I miss, I'm missing high. With some cam systems, you can fix that with creep tuning, or you can get it as best as possible. I mean, I get it as best as I possibly can. But if I still come off the wall, get weak in a shot, and for me that happens because I'm not shooting the repetition that I once did when I was competing full time. I like to shoot every day, but I can't shoot the amount of reps to where an hour into practice I'm not starting to break down. So what I've told Bailey is we actually have got Bailey to where she's sighted in for this end, to where she's more sighted in on perfect shots. I would say 100% shots, 10 out of 10 shots. She's hitting at 5 o'clock on the Super X, because we know based on history that when she misses, and if she misses a 300 round, it's out high. So, and it could possibly be left. So what we're doing is we're literally sighting in for 100% perfect shots, but we're also sighting in to where our marginal shots, that 8 out of 10 shot, 8 out of 10 if you were to score your shot, that shot still hangs a line or hangs a line instead of just being out. It's really, really important. If you're an indoor shooter, you're wanting that 300, look at your faces. Your holes from the past will really start to tell you where your misses most commonly are and where your form breakdowns are. So just slightly, instead of worrying about always shooting holes in the dead center, I actually sight in or fine tune my bow to be able to make my misses land the line. That's important. Go ahead and grab those. Let's head back and take a look at Lucy here. Any decent questions rolling in that are relative?
There's not comments coming through. I can't see them.
Okay, well, there's not comments coming through, so hopefully we're live. If not, we're recording.
We're live. It's just comments aren't feeding through the
Okay.
video.
All right. Yeah, Bailey, you might have to step over. Luce, can you step back a little bit? Perfect. All right. So with Lucy, I'm going to grab this bow quickly. So with Lucy, we've got 2 bows we've been working on with Lucy. Lucy's actually going through the exact same thing that I went through earlier this year. So she's got 2 Prevail 37s. This Prevail 37, she's got it set up with X3 cams, and with this 37 here, we actually have this set up with the SVX cams. So she's in the process right now of really trying to decide which cam system really suits her best, because both of these have a slightly different feel. And really, when it comes to even sound, if we had stabilizers on both, you could even hear the difference in sound. But we have 2 different arrow combinations that we've built, and each of these arrow combinations have given a slightly different result with each of the bows. And we've actually found that we went to a slightly stiffer spine. With Lucy, she's shooting 25-inch draw, and actually we shortened her draw length day one when she came in. Lucy there was quite a bit of time where Lucy and I weren't able to connect for coaching, so she had actually grown into a few little form flaws that were causing big problems, to be honest with you, through her shooting. And we made a small draw length adjustment, just made a few small form adjustments, and then with that we've now built 2 different arrows. One of the arrows, which I think is going to be the winner, is this 670 Pro Tour, and she's shooting 25-inch draw to the back of the string, and you're shooting 51 pounds on this.
And then 49 on that.
And 49, so she's shooting 51 pounds on an SVX, and with that she's shooting a 670. This is cut to 24 3/4.
Yeah.
From the end of the nock to the cut, 24 3/4. We ended up settling on 120 grain tungsten point with the knock-on PM 2.0 vanes. The other combination that she had, which she had shot for a while, this is actually a 720.
Yeah.
And the 720, same exact cut length. We had shot that with the 110s.
120s.
Yeah, we shot them with 110s and with 120s. The 110s, I think, actually shot slightly better than these 120s. And the reason I know that's accurate too is because this stiffer one actually performs much better. So the stiffer one with the heavier point actually performs better than that lighter one with the heavier point. It's pretty noticeable. And let's see, is there anything else we should mention to the watchers on things that we've worked on that could help them at home?
I've had to, so I've had some sort of shoulder injuries since
Oh, yeah, that's a
not
great
seeing
point.
you. So because I live in the UK, it's really hard to get over to America. It's like, it took me 11 hours to fly out here. So yeah, it was long. So I haven't seen you in a few years. So I picked up some really bad habits, and my front shoulder's been creeping forward. So it's
More
I'm getting some
importantly,
pain.
yeah, more importantly, she's been struggling. You can grab those, Bailey. What's
Do you want
that?
me- Oh, I'll get it.
Oh,
I'll get him.
so, those X10s are like burying to the flesh. So she was more importantly dealing with shoulder pain and elbow pain. If I had my phone, which I don't, James has it, I would show you that Lucy was, she was falling into a habit that a lot of archers fall into. And would it make you feel weird if we had you do what you were doing? Do you think you could? It's kind of terrible. We've been working about like getting that out of her system. Now I'm asking her, don't do that. Never mind, I'll do it for you. So she was getting in the habit over the course of time. People were trying to give her lessons with improper information, and there were several things happening. There was this front scapula was starting to come into play. And when that happens, what she's doing to stabilize is you actually start overextending the front end in order to stabilize the shot. And over time, Lucy has started to lengthen all the tendons and ligaments in the inside of your elbow. So you start to develop this hyperextended arm that starts to create a slight arc. And then the longer you shoot, it arcs and arcs. And what happens is a lot of coaches that work with youth that force them into too heavy a poundage at too young of an age, or if they force them.
I think the bow is just too long.
I saw that. Turd shots just radiate into my eyes. Pull through. Yeah, that was weak. And she thinks she can catch arrows, which is not true. But so we had to bring this front shoulder down and really work with her and getting this front shoulder packed in a proper position. And then also your draw cycle, just, you know, these first few inches of your draw cycle, she was really starting to bring this shoulder, this humerus forward and up as she started to draw. And then once it came into a full draw position, you were hyperextended, and she really started to struggle with shoulder pain
And elbow pain.
and elbow pain. And since we've shot a lot over these few days, and since doing that,
I haven't hit my arm.
yeah,
My
she
elbow
always had to have an
doesn't
arm guard, and literally you've eliminated that.
Yeah.
You want to? Is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm gonna pull arrows and talk to Bailey. You maintain camera.
Yeah, so, okay, hi. Yeah, so I used to have to always wear my arm guard, and now I don't have to because I've changed the hand position on my bow. It means that I've gotten so much more clearance, so I'm not hitting my arm. My elbow can then rest, and it's like the arm's straight, but it's relaxed. And as a result, the shoulder's sort of sitting down. So, yeah, it's just much better. It's working.
Proud.
So,
Broaden
the
up.
back will shoot.
All right. Well, do you guys or gals, do you guys want to sit down and answer some of these podcast questions?
Yeah, shoot one more.
Okay. Let's see perfection here, Lucy. Just kind of hitch right here. Maybe give me one more. As you start to break down, women, wait, go back down. There's a couple things. Women, arguably more so than guys, because women struggle getting their sights to clear for like the distances that they're shooting. And especially when it comes to women that are smaller, naturally they're shooting less poundage, which is good as long as they can control it. but they're really trying to get to that speed and be able to get to those distances. So if you push that too fast, one of the most common breakdowns is always in the hips, because they really start to lean back and try to give it everything to pull back. Super important to keep that front shoulder over the front hip. One great habit that both these ladies are doing that's like imperative is the resting of the front shoulder, which you just saw with the stabilizer, setting the bow in front of yourself when that shot is in the preparation phase, and then being able to come through your shot like that. Good Super X. So you can see in this position, she's resting this whole front half. Even here, the weight is really on her fingertips more than the arm, because she's kind of resting it on the leg. And then this is something we've worked on for a decade now, is being able to bring the bow up, draw, come to full draw. Clearance on both of these people is impeccable. You will not find better. Let's chat. I need my beverage. You ladies pull, we'll come in, take a seat at the Lancaster table, and we're going to jump into some of these questions here. These are awesome. So, how are we doing on time? I'm gonna kick this guy on right here. Battery's kind of low, but we're going for it. All right, boom, we're recording. So, we've got a few good questions here. I posted today, for those of you who are on the Knock On TV Facebook page, the Knock On TV Instagram page is also a cool place to hang out, or scan on your boredom at work, because I try to post between the two. And we've got a great question here. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's got probably the coolest profile pic. You ever seen him? It's Michael, I think it's Lowry. But he's got, that needs to be a t-shirt, doesn't it? Yeah. Your logo needs to be a t-shirt, dude. But he's got a great question. This is gonna be a Lucy question too. It was intended, I think, for me, but he didn't realize you were there too. But he said, Dud, you've talked in previous podcasts that when you lived in England, there were limited places to practice. Where do the girls normally get to practice? And do they wish they had better access to their facilities like we have here in the States?
Okay. I don't know what your access to shooting is for like clubs in the States, but in Britain we've got like hundreds of clubs. So people don't tend to shoot in their garden, they tend to shoot, yard. They don't shoot in their yard. Garden. So they shoot at the clubs. So Archery GB, they have like a list of all the clubs. So whatever county you're in, which is like our states, whatever county you're in, you can literally just Google on Archery GB, like where can I shoot? And it will come up with like a list of your nearest clubs, which tend to be like the maximum distance, I guess, would be like 14 minutes away. For you guys, I've heard it's nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, for us it's like a lot. In where I come from, my island's 9 miles by 5, and we have 2 archery clubs.
But are your archery clubs, do you have full access at all time, anytime?
Some do, some don't.
See,
like
mine
there's
didn't.
Meriden is amazing,
Okay.
and that's up in the Midlands. Like they have 24/7 access.
Yeah, and that would be
some clubs,
ideal.
they have club nights.
Yep.
So it depends where you are in the country and how far you want to travel. And
At my local club, shout out to Blundelless Sands Archery Club. I think I'm still a member. I don't know, but
lifetime.
we literally shot, I think once a week is when you could get in, because really there was limited range, and the archery club had to rent, especially the closer you are to population, and there's not a lot of space outside, so the club had to actually rent the sports hall, or equivalent to like our YMCA, they would have to rent the inside basketball courts for 2 hours on certain days. So
Wait.
we would either have to go there, or we would rent like the at the indoor tennis facility, and that was your time to shoot at your club.
Yeah, that's for indoor. For outdoor competition, it's much easier because usually they're like local farmers' fields that can be rented out.
Okay.
But for indoors, yeah, like you're saying, population-wise, so where I shoot indoors is different. That's why I'm a member of 2 clubs, because one club shoots like Tuesday, Thursday, and the other club
Yeah.
shoots like Monday, Friday. So
Yeah.
I can shoot like 4 days a week indoors.
Yeah, so if you're in Europe looking to get into archery, really looking to clubs, there's a lot of great resources. What's the UK forum?
It's Archery GB, but Google it.
Okay, Google it. But yeah, you can Google where you're at, archery club in that area, and you'll be able to find a cool club. And I was, in England though, the difference is here, obviously, it's pretty cool today. You're not really preferring to shoot outdoors. And I think a big part of why our indoor shooters are so strong in the US is because we do shoot indoors for several months of the year because of the weather.
Whereas
So if you didn't have access to that, it gets really tough. When it comes to outdoor archery, really, if you have limited space, which I had limited space in England, I shot probably 4 or 5 days a week, literally in the house. I had a target that I set on the kitchen table, and our house in England, I would say, if I was shooting from this wall, probably to that wall is where my target was. So I'd maybe be shooting about 7 or 8 yards.
So that's big for England.
Yeah.
Like most people shoot like 5 meters in their
Yep.
garage or something.
And in that case, blank bailing is really, really
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah.
And this is important because especially if you're working on tension activated release, you're trying to get away from an index finger release, utilizing those smaller spaces and really not worrying about the score and really worrying about the execution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a target in my conservatory. My mum hated that. She's like, don't shoot the glass. But yeah, I had like it was literally 2 meters. What's that, like 5 yards? It was literally 5 yards, and that's in the
2
conservatory.
meters. Yeah, it'd be, well, it's not 5 yards, but
Oh, sorry.
it's not quite 5. But the next question here is from Mike Hawk, _8914, and he's saying, for my wife shooting 42 pounds for whitetail hunting, would it be better for her to shoot an 85 grain broadhead to keep more speed, or shoot a heavier 100 grain head? Bailey, what do you think?
I would think a heavier tip
Yep.
for weight on the arrow,
Yeah.
for more.
Yep. For lower poundage shooters, this is the case with Sharon and Harry both. Both of them shot about 40 pounds for a long time. And I always had them shoot 100 grain heads, and I had them shoot 100 grain heads that had cut on impact tips, so that penetration would be better. And really, there's a fine line there between speed and then momentum, and a lot of times that heavier arrow, there is a crossover point, but I would say, especially if you're not really worried about speed, 15 grains in the front of your arrow isn't really worth enough to worry about the speed. So I would say that heavier tip's going to give you a little better FOC. It's probably going to fly a little bit better, and you're going to want a fixed blade head. 100% you're going to want a fixed blade head at that poundage, and in that case, having that extra weight behind there is going to give you a little bit better arrow flight anyway. Let's see here. Okay. Hey, Dud, I have a quick question. This is from Amger Man?
Yeah.
Amger Man 11. He's saying, I don't have a bow press, so how much initial setup can I do on my bow? I'm ordering a Pro Defiant 34 and don't trust my local shop as I had problems in the past. I figure I can get, mainly he's talking about what he can do himself, knock point, D-loop, adjust the rest, sight in my, and leave the peep sight to them, maybe add a couple twists to the strings and cables. What's your thoughts? From the bow mechanic, double time bow shop mechanic,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, I mean, the bow press would be used for the timing,
Yep.
and then straightening up the peep. I think
Yep.
those would be the two main things. And if you have the jockway cord that goes into the power cable.
Otherwise, if you're gonna run if you run an elevate rest,
Yeah, a limb jack.
that goes straight to the limb, you've got a bracket. So you can do a lot of that setup yourself, to be honest with you, and just leave, like you said, leave that peep sight, and then and any fine tuning you have to, for your bow, we actually had to shorten it,
Yeah.
utilizing the string, which is a pretty valuable point
But
too.
you can also buy portable bow presses. Like, they're quite popular. When we go away for GB trips, the
Yep.
coaches always take a portable bow press.
Like a porter press, the little screwy ones, or the
It's got like
Synergym.
the two hooks on it, and it's the metal, and you just wind it up.
Yeah.
So
mhm.
they're pretty good. So
Yeah.
I've used them on my bows before, and
Yeah, funny enough, you won't know who this is, but that is what Bill Winke used up until 2 weeks ago. I actually took Bill Express. He's a good friend, awesome dude. Bill Winke, Midwest Whitetail. If you don't follow him, you should. If you're a hunter, gives a considerable. What I do for the archery setup and form and target world. He does that for the whitetail hunters, and I took him an Express because, quite frankly, he needs one. But if you don't want to do those last few steps, like Lucy said, there's a couple different portable presses that are good. I know Lancaster Archery has both of them. That I think it's called the Synergym. Have you seen that one where you pull it? You pull the little pulley and you hook it. It's really cool too.
And there's also one on like a little.
Yeah,
bench
it's really
that I've
cool.
got.
If you look up portable bow presses, or for that matter, if you're here in the States or anywhere, you can call Lancaster Archery, and those guys will take care of you, and just tell them you're looking for a portable press. Making a few twists for your peep, or making a few twists for your cables. You can certainly do that with an at-home press.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to get a little bit more advanced, if you're wanting,
Then, yeah,
like
go
with
to
us,
that, yeah.
change cam systems out, do full cable swaps,
Yeah,
change
I
out
wouldn't wanna do
limbs,
that
like
now.
that sort of thing, you're not going to want to do with a portable press. Have you done much bear shaft tuning?
No.
Have you?
I've shot bear shafts through paper
Just for, okay.
just for starting.
All right, so we've got, cannot pronounce your name, dude. Chai? If I had been drinking all day, you could blame it on that, but can't pronounce it. So he's asking about bear shaft tuning, and do I use this method? How else do you tune your arrows apart from paper tune, walk back, and the hill method, ? So you pretty much named all 4 arrow tuning methods on the planet. So I don't have a mystery 5th that no one knows about yet, but
What are you talking about? You promised us.
but
Joking.
when it comes to what my process is for tuning, I'm not a big bear shaft tuner, because I feel like the hill method is a more relative, important aspect of really knowing what your arrow does, because I don't plan on shooting arrows without fletchings in the chute. So I want to know what I can do to make sure the ballistic that I'm throwing downrange is absolutely performing as best as possible. Today we actually went through a very detailed, I think it was detailed, maybe it wasn't, but
It was.
we kind of went through a detailed little classroom talk.
There was a chalkboard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
the chalkboard.
there was a chalkboard, there was a laptop.
Drawings.
It was professional. But no, we went through a lot of different things regarding tuning, so I'm actually going to let Bailey, let's see what you remember. How do I go about my arrow tuning and my steps? Do you remember the way that I roll?
Yeah, I know the way you roll. So what John does, he'll make different arrow combinations, like what 4 of each or something like that.
I thought you knew.
4.
Let's start with what I do first. What's my order of how I...
Oh, how you tune?
Yep, let's
Oh,
start
okay.
with that, and then we'll break down to, because you're
Okay,
already
good.
jumping to what I do in the last.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
She's
So
excited.
I got excited. So he starts with paper tuning because paper tuning gets you to a starting point. So you know if you have a bad tear and it's not changing, that means you have clearance. So you need to either adjust index your arrows or change your veins to get that clearance. And then so paper tuning is a starting point. Then you go to hill. Is it hill?
Yep.
Yeah, it's hill.
Which
Hill
is
tuning.
which is really your heel method. Your heel method, which is something that I named years ago, something that I wrote about. I'm certain I wrote about it first, but really, the heel method is something that when I tuned and when I shot, what I pay attention to when it comes to groups is what your groups are doing on a horizontal plane. Because horizontal planes to me are immediate reflection of spine, and how that spine is agreeing or disagreeing with the combination that you have in front of it. So whether it's a shooter, whether it's a bow, regardless, how is that arrow responding? So this is a big reason why I say I really believe in saying that I tune arrows, but I don't necessarily, or I don't tune bows. I believe you set up bows. I believe you can build bows, you can work on bows, you shoot bow method. With you guys, I showed you through, I document so much of what I do, and I've got decades really of being able to show you guys a bow that I had. There's a few back there that have importance or whatever, that each one of those went through a hill series where I went through shooting them, adjusting the poundage on the bow to see how that arrow responded, and then you can take it one step more than that if you have the ability to, and actually even if you don't have the money to do this over the course of time, if you save those last 2 and 3 and 4 arrows that you have left at the end of the year, those are the things that you just start to, put a rubber band on and put them down. Because after a few years, like for example, Lucy has one particular arrow combination where you only have 4 left. So I'm like, don't sell those 4, just keep those 4, because what'll happen is in a year or 2 years time, when you get another bow and you're trying to see what works best, you're going to be able to have 2 combinations there and a third, to where you can put them all down range and then really take a look at how do those arrows respond in a horizontal plane. When they're responding correctly, that horizontal plane will come together so tight that you really know you found the best combination. And I can get into that. I've got an article called The Hill, but I actually kind of touched it up a little bit, brought it back for The Hill Remastered, which is an article that'll be out on the new website soon enough. We're planning to launch the new website May 2nd. We'll be doing a live feed. I'm actually going to have the web team here for that live feed. Fingers crossed, everything's ready to actually do a launch on the beta version. And if everything's a go, the premium members or the higher member platforms should have full access to brand new content that they've voted for me to put in place for June 2nd. So looking really excited at that. Make sure May 2nd, you guys mark your calendars for that. But after the hill method, then as my last
French
thing,
tuning.
right,
Yep.
French tuning. So what do we do?
You start at about 3 yards, pretty close.
Yep.
Pretty close up, and you shoot a small dot and you sight in your bow. Then you go back to, was it 50 meters? You said?
Yeah.
50 meters further back, and then you'll shoot a larger dot, about yay big, and you see where your arrows impact left and right. So if they're impacting to the right, then you move your wrist to the right. Left.
Yep. I'm letting these
Get a
guys.
drawing.
I'm letting these guys talk through, but
So with this one, I always aim at the X
yep.
when I go close to the, because just I'm a target shooter. So shoot the X at 3 yards.
Yep.
And then I walk back, but I don't move my sight.
Correct.
Yeah,
You're
you
not supposed to move your sight.
And then I aim at the X again, or
Yep.
like I'm aiming at the toe, and then I see where they go.
Yep.
But I always hang like a string down from that X arrow,
Perfect.
so I can see if they've gone left or right.
Yep. This is great. You wanna have a perfectly vertical line. So it's easiest for you to recognize as long as you have an aiming dot at the the top third of your target. You can actually hang a string or hang a line from that top dot. And as you go back to that distance, now if you have a program like Archer's Advantage where you actually print your sight tapes, with your sight tapes, when you print off that piece of paper, there's actually a small little thing in the corner that'll have your short range conversion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that short range conversion, it's gonna tell you up close distances. So it'll tell you at 3 feet or 4 yards what your, at 4 yards, what your sight needs to be set at. So if you set your sight at that, you can almost sight in perfectly with your sight to where you're hitting right in an arrow hole at 4 yards. And then with that, it'll tell you with your sight set at this, you're gonna hit dead center at 4 yards, whatever that is. It's probably gonna be between 40 and 50 meters or 50 yards. You're gonna be able to go back and keep your sight in the exact same place as that 12 feet or 4 yards, and you're gonna be able to shoot. And if your arrows are hitting right, then you're gonna need to move your arrow rest opposite. If your arrows are hitting left, obviously you move them to the right. So what this does is it tells you that if your center shot is off, the further and further and further you shoot, your arrow starts to continually go further and further away from center up close. Now there's a couple things that are really critical here. One, you can't shoot on unlevel ground. You don't want to shoot on side hills. You want to make sure your sight level is always down the center. You want to make sure your bubble's in the center of your level. And you also want to make sure you don't have crosswinds. Any type of wind, really make sure you're making good shots. If you're making a good shot, look down there where it is. Shoot several. If you shoot 6 arrows and 3 were great shots, you look down there. Those 3 are left of the thing. Then move your arrow rest a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. Opposite of where your arrows are hitting. Tighten your arrow rest back down. And because you moved your arrow rest right or left, you're gonna have to go back up close, and you're gonna have to move your sight right or left depending on where you moved your rest to where you're sighted in 100% again up close, and repeat the process. When you're able to hit the same vertical line at 12 feet versus 40 to 50 yards, you know that your center shot is really on track.
I have a question.
Okay.
So you're talking about the hill training, which is horizontal lines. What does it mean if your arrows are grouping vertically?
So you're saying you're sighted in and you're stretching up like this?
Mine tend to do that.
Yours tend to do that?
Yeah.
Not anymore, by the way.
Not anymore, but back
Yeah, let's back
3
that,
days ago,
let's back that
they were
thing
doing
up.
that.
So when you have a vertical string, that's going to be related to a few different things. Most commonly is going to be knock position or your arrow rest position. So if your knock's high or if your knock's low, it changes how that arrow goes over the rest or through the rest. And if it's not utilizing the arrow rest to stabilize the arrow fully, then your ups and downs can vary. Next is going to be your actual stiffness of your blade. So if your blade is weak, meaning your arrow kind of bounces on there a little bit, then that can have a variation high and low too. Can you go grab my bow? The other thing is the actual angle of your blade. So this right here is ideal for your blade angle. That's about where I set mine. a lot of people make the mistake of setting them too stiff. So when your blade is stiffer like this, when it starts to get flexed and the arrow comes off of it, it kind of does that. And a lot of times when it pings up and it's very vertical and pings up, it can contact your vein. So it'll tick the back of that arrow and you'll start to get highs and lows because of porpoising, right? With yours, when you came here, you were actually, some of your problems was because of contact. I think, oh, I need one arrow. Is there an arrow close? Yeah. Sorry. So your problem was because of contact. With Lucy, you can hold that for a second. With Lucy, I noticed on her lizard tongue, on her arrow rest, there was noticeable marks on kind of both sides of that arrow rest. And what's important about that is it identifies that the arrow isn't just contacting on one side all the time, it's contacting on different sides. And I know from how your arrow is, it wasn't because it was pushing both veins past at the same time. With your situation, you are actually making the mistake of not properly checking your knock indexing. So your knock indexing, the position of your knock, and you can rotate your knock, and as you rotate your knock, you change your position of your veins. So with Lucy, some of her veins were when she would knock the arrow, sometimes the bottom right vein would be down like this to where it would contact the rest on one side. The next time it could be down like that. You weren't paying attention when you shot arrows down there and you're hitting arrows. You didn't spend time really inspecting those arrows on your way back to the target. So,
and was that causing the high?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're hitting the back of that arrow, it causes this arrow to go up. So now you have this.
Yeah.
So when you have porpoising up and down, certainly going to cause that. So knock height, blade tension, blade angle are all relative to up and down. From there, you can also get into a number of form issues, heel pressure,
Yeah.
wrist pressure, peaking of the arrow. With you, sometimes when you started to collapse, elbow comes down, release breaks, arm comes down. So this is coming down, this is coming down. So sometimes those highs and lows were because of that too. Same with Bailey. So Bailey has, if Bailey's missing, Bailey's misses are high and low. They weren't relative to anything regarding tuning, maybe more so form breakdown. Again, when she started to hitch, rear elbow comes down. When that shot breaks, because she's pulling through, this is the natural reaction coming down. So that was important. Now lastly, I'm going to hold my bow up for this because this is actually, I'm going to have to turn this way. Sorry everyone, the stabilizers are taking people out. But for this, I actually switched, this is my indoor bow, but I switched to the Super Drive 23s. This is the new Easton shaft. And I went with a Pro Max, a 3-fletch Pro Max AAE vein with a Easton, I can't remember if it was 100 or 120 in the front. But anyway, I switched these arrows, and with these Super Drives, it has a unibushing that chokes down to a G knock versus my indoor arrows were actually an S knock. So this could be something that a lot of people make the mistake of. I'm actually not really proud of this, but I was kind of excited to be able to shoot with you guys. I didn't want to go out shooting 600 grain 2315s, so I built these quick. But because I switched to a slightly different knock, my knock pinch is slightly different. So you might want to come in here and take a close-up of this. James, quick, watch the microphone underneath you. But you can see here that there's barely some movement here. See that? 0.5 millimeter? That right there is enough to where when I knock this arrow, if I'm in this position here where my arrow knock is flat to the bottom knock, one time, and then the next time I knock my arrow, I'm right there. That's the difference of me shooting out the top of the tent at 50 meters versus me shooting in the center of the tent at 50 meters. Or if I sight in, like with this arrow down all the way to the bottom, then all of a sudden the next time I knock the arrow, I'm there, I shoot out the bottom. So it's literally from the center of the X to about a 1/4 inch out of the bullseye at 50. That is the difference. And so I knew it wasn't the best, but yesterday as I was shooting, there was times where I'd have some highs and lows, and I'm like, wait a minute, what the heck's going on? So then what I had to do for this anyway is I had to really knock it on, push it hard against the top, and then I could maintain my groups. But realistically, the best thing for me to do is to remove that bottom knock and, you know, keep my top knock, because that really keeps my tune. And this is a big reason why I like double tied knocks, because I can remove this bottom knock and I can just literally tie a new knock between there, maintain everything I have, and slightly adjust my knock pinch, which is kind of the last thing that can really affect highs and lows in porpoising. So let's get into that. There's another question here that was good. This is actually Lucy's field of expertise. Lucy is a professional trainer. You have a degree in
Coaching and sports science.
coaching and sports science. So any exercises that you'd recommend for smaller people to get stronger for compound bow strength?
Okay.
Got anything that you can show
yeah.
people?
Well, I've actually been. What do you want me to do the exercises?
Yeah, what do we
now?
got right here? Anything like simple?
We could do push-ups.
Okay,
We could do some push-ups.
I'm not gonna do push-ups right now. Those are pretty
So
easy
I'll
to.
show you how to do some push-ups. But I've actually been writing a series of articles for this, and I've started writing for Bow International.
Can I
so
get them now that they've been published?
You can from Archery UK, and I will load them up onto my Facebook page.
Oh.
I'll make sure I do that then.
I'll reshare that.
And then, yeah, and Bow International, I'll just start doing like more fitness ones.
Okay.
But yeah, okay,
Awesome.
I'll show you a push up.
Let's see this.
Press up.
Yeah, let's see this
the main
press
thing,
up.
the main thing with archery, obviously, is you want to use your triceps as well as your biceps. And there's like a little muscle that runs straight through the joint here. So as soon as you see these people that do push-ups like this, you're actually gonna it's like a cheese grater, like it's gonna grind that muscle. So you want to keep your elbows down and in. So I do that by
For those of you listening to this podcast,
having my
Lucy's on the
thumbs.
ground in plank position.
So I do that by having my thumbs pointing outwards slightly, so like towards the camera, and you want to bring your chest down to the floor, and then come straight up.
Nice. Get a sniff of that concrete right there.
Yes.
Solid. That is an awesome push-up.
It is my job.
Do one more, Lucy. I'm
You want
gonna
one more?
picture that. Yes, that's awesome.
Hold it.
Hold it. One more. Hold it.
What, again?
Yeah, do another. If you're gonna do some archery workout, we need to get there. Solid effort. That was dynamite form. What about for the back? So we've strengthened the front. Now
My favourite exercise for the back, and we don't have an Olympic lifting bar here, which I'm gutted about.
get a steel mace.
No.
Grab a steel mace. It's weighted
How
on one
heavy?
end, but you can make it work.
How heavy are these?
Oh, they're not that heavy. It's just a steel mace. Vikings use them.
Okay. Anyway, imagine this is an Olympic lifting bar. My favourite exercise at the moment, apart from a pull-up, but you don't have a pull-up bar.
No, coming soon.
Okay. So pull-ups.
Same power.
These are called bent over rows. So basically, you want to keep your back absolutely flat, so you're using your core. You kind of go into a straight leg deadlift position. Bend your knees off, and then you're just pulling straight up to your chest.
Back is flat.
And you just keep going.
Lucy's cranking out some rows. Yeah, what about if people have a single dumbbell? Or what if they have
A kettlebell.
What if they have a kettlebell?
Oh.
Like this here.
So you can do the same with a kettlebell.
Yep.
So
This
We
is what I
have-
got.
So
Chuck
really
some
you
monkeys
want a
around.
bit of a lower bench.
Oh, you want to put one arm down?
I want to put one on down.
Okay.
I can use a step.
Huh?
I can use a step.
Yeah, nice. Grab hold of this
Use
monkey
a
right
step.
here. Or a tire.
And you can literally go into the same position.
Oh, perfect. Flatter back, loose.
There you go.
So the angle of your back. Let's get in here.
Well,
You do that.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger says parallel to the floor.
Mhm.
So obviously everyone loves Arnie.
Yeah.
But the UK Strength and Conditioning Society say just above parallel. So anything from just above parallel to parallel, you're fine.
The difference is that angle.
Different activation of muscles.
Right. So the more parallel you get as you come through, you're going to pull a lot more here with this lat versus when she goes up higher, she's going to engage more of the rhomboid, which is perfect for archery. It'll be heavy with this kettlebell for her, but one slight variation that you can do so that you actually kind of do more of a true archery motion would be to, if you're in that position, you can bring your elbow out to where, because when you draw your bow, you're not pulling in like this, you're drawing like this. So if you can bring, I know it's not for,
Oh, yeah.
so if you bring this elbow here, just for this particular movement, you engage more of the rhomboid and the trap, versus when you're here, this is more of a lat and bicep. So I would say, just like with push-ups, you can do the push-up like Lucy had there, or if you bring your hands
Mine was
tight.
there.
Okay, and she was there. So if you stay tight, or if you come in tighter with the elbows, you bring in more of the inner pec, more of the tricep. With these, if you're bringing this elbow up here, this is a little bit better motion, or you can pull here.
But it can put more damage on that.
Or,
It can put more damage on the AC joint
which way?
if you're coming out, because any kind of lateral movement here is putting more damage.
All right.
That's just my
Don't do that.
professional opinion.
Don't do the professional opinion. But yeah, rows are super easy. You can just like grab a tire, get the back flat, pull right up. Right?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Pull-ups are my favorite for the back. I do a lot of squats, so I do a lot of like leg stability stuff because I'm really short. Like I kind of struggle in the wind it's always windy in Britain.
Deadlifts were dynamite.
Deadlifts for back retraction as well.
You can deadlift with a Kong.
Yeah.
So you should be able to do that.
With the deadlift, you want to make sure your back's
she's
nice
got
and
power.
flat.
She's like into deadlifts, and this is important. Deadlifts are a great overall body strengthenizer.
You've got to do them
Strengthenizer. That's an official word. I invented it. With Lucy, like we had talked about earlier, her shoulder was coming in. She was hyperextending the elbow, starting to rise up. So when we moved all that down, for a lot of people, that small change in the scapula position would have had a big effect. Like you've been here, you've shot a lot of arrows since that change. Most people, that would have been it. They would have shot 10, 20 arrows like that. They would have struggled. But with Lucy, because of her deadlifting background and her overall strength in the back from that deadlift motion, she was able to make a form change and not have it affect her practice time here, which is critical. So show us on the Kong.
With deadlift, it's the same position as the bent over row. You want a nice flat back. You want to pull your shoulder blades back. So a little tip is if you actually roll your shoulder blades back into place, you're in a perfect position. You kind of want to bend over the bar. You want to bend over Kong and bend your knees. So from there, weight drives into the heels.
Nice.
And then you lean forward, bend the knees, and the weight's going to your midfoot. How heavy is Kong?
I don't know. He looks happy though.
Do you even lift, brah?
Everyone should have a Kong. You want another one?
Are we double Konging?
Well, you can, yeah, if you would like. Double Kong, Lucille Sullivan. You can double Kong. Here you go.
One Kong's heavier. Really the same.
Nope,
Oh.
Kong is Kong. Let's get that power going. Perfect.
And at the top of the deadlift, and the same with the squat, you want to really squeeze your arse cheeks together. So that's
What's
a
that
little
word?
tip. Arse cheeks.
Okay.
Or I like to say pinch a penny. So pinch just at the top. Okay?
Yeah, looks good. Perfect. All right.
I'll put them back.
Sweet. She's going to put Kong back, and we are going to continue this podcast off the live feed. We actually have 2 chickens in the grill with beer cans up their butts, and we're going to go enjoy some awesome food. We're going to try to avoid a potential sleep coma, and then we're going to finish up on these questions with the podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You guys come in here, say hi and bye.
Hi, bye.
Bye bye.
Bailey, what's your Instagram? You need followers. We don't need followers, but you guys should follow her because she's awesome.
She's really good.
It's at Bailey Smith 12.
Bailey
Yeah.
Smith 12.
Yep.
And mine's at Lou, L-U, bow and arrows. Or you can just search LOSPT.
Wait, what? What's that?
So LOSPT is my business, so it's LOS for Lucio Sullivan, and PT because I'm a
Physical
PT.
therapy. Or
Nice.
pinching pennies. Pinching tennies. All right. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Hope you learned something. And dang it, Bailey, you shot a $2.99.
Yeah. 2 in a row.
Sorry. You deserve.
Maybe tomorrow.
No, for sure tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Check you later. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're out. Out.